The diamond views here are still hot. Join the Will County Black Diamond chapter of Top Ladies of Distinction for Season 2 of The Diamond View. This talk show series features dim black diamonds and professionals discussing topics like holiday planning, taking care of your mental health, budgeting, and more during the holidays. Human trafficking. We can all do our part to prevent trafficking. Love languages. Knowing yourself is the key to unlocking love. And healthy living. Spotlighting our health partners in Minority Health Month. Join us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live for The Diamond View at 6:30 p.m. The Diamond View starts now. On tonight's episode, Let's Talk About Love, we're talking all things love with Reverend Maurice and Mrs. Marie Rochelle. Featuring Thomas and Patrice Henderson and their new book, Love Touchdown, a Marriage Playbook. And now, with Diamond Topics, are our hosts, Lady Dion A. Tate, Lady Tashar Brock, Lady Beverly Nunn, Lady Karen Dilligard, and Lady Moretta Smith.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Lady Moretta Smith, and I'm here tonight with my co-hosts, Lady Tashar Brock, Lady Beverly Nunn, Lady Dion A. Tate, and our chapter organizer, Lady Karen Dilligard. On behalf of the Will County Black Diamond chapter of Top Ladies of Distinction Incorporated, where our president is Lady Verlena Lane, we welcome you to this episode of The Diamond View. We are in season 2, and we are very excited about tonight's episode. Top Ladies of Distinction is a humanitarian organization, and our motto is serving youth and adults. For those of you who are new to our show, The Diamond View is the brainchild of the Status of Women Thrust, and that is co-chaired by me and Lady Tashar. And the Status of Women Thrust program focus is health, wealth, safety, and life.
Thank you, Moretta, and good evening, everyone. During the month of February, not only are you notice we're wearing red this evening, we are celebrating not only Healthy Heart Month, but we're talking about healthy love this evening. Yes, there is a such thing as healthy love. That's self-love, our friendships, our relationships, our marriages. Last year, we had Reverend Maurice Rochelle on our February show. I hope you join it. If you can remember, we had an awesome time with him. So get ready this evening. It's going to be on tonight. And he is back by popular demand. We are excited to have his wife join us tonight as well. He's the yin and she's the yang. So get ready, guys. You may want to grab a pen and paper tonight because it's about to go down.
Good evening. Good evening. We are so excited. We're also excited to feature our very own Black Diamonds, Lady Patrice and Lord Thomas Henderson, to discuss their new book, Love Touchdown, a Marriage Playbook. Whether you love football or not, I'm a lover of football. So even if you're not, though, there's something you can get out of this book. Have my copy. Make sure you get yours. Love Play Touchdown, a Marriage Playbook.
Good evening. Now, before we get into the show about love and relationships, which I could talk about for hours, hours, and hours. We invite you to like the Will County Black Diamond chapter pages on Facebook and YouTube, so you can stay connected and continue to meet us on Facebook Live or YouTube for the Diamond View. After each show, we want to hear from you. Please make sure you take our survey at the end of this episode. The link will be pinned to the post and in the chat. Make sure you take the survey and leave us your email address.
Lady Karen, you are giving us the business, but you are on mute, my dear.
That would help if I come off mute. Always a technical glitch somewhere, huh? All of that. So do you have your pen and paper ready? Everybody got their pen and paper? Okay, so before we get into tonight's show, we want to let you know about some of the amazing shows that we have planned for you for the rest of this season. So mark your calendars. The dates for the rest of this season's shows are March 28th, where our top teens of America are taking over the Diamond View. And April 25th, we will celebrate Minority Health Month with a virtual health fair featuring medical professionals.
All right. We are going to get into Diamond topics in just a moment. But before we do that, we have a commercial for you.
The Will County Black Diamond chapter of Top Ladies of Distinction Incorporated is proud to partner with Dress for Success for its annual Women's History Month and International Women's Day campaign, Your Hour, Her Power. By giving the equivalent of just 1 hour of your pay, you can give a Dress for Success woman access to programs, services, and tools that will help her achieve economic advancement. Visit the Will County Black Diamond chapter campaign page to donate today.
All right, ladies, so let's get into these hot topics. We hope that you enjoyed that commercial and that you will support our Dress for Success campaign. As we mentioned, tonight's show is all about love. So we want to explore some stats on love and what people are actually feeling about dating and marriage, as we are kind of still in the pandemic, but not really. Apparently, there's no more pandemic. We don't have to wear masks anymore. I don't know. I'll be wearing my mask though. But let's dive into the stats.
According to the National Center for Health Statistics, studies have shown that adults in the U.S. are increasingly postponing marriage. That's just baffles me, but okay. Even though marriage has been shown to be a correlation with positive health outcomes and longevity, a record number of young adults are projected to forego marriage. As we entered the pandemic, the marriage rate had dropped to its lowest since 1900. I wonder, why is that? What do you think?
Shelter in place. Prior to the pandemic.
Yes.
As we entered the pandemic.
We entered the pandemic.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's marry out this debt.
Yeah, and that's in line with the dating stats from Pew Research. Nearly half of the U.S. adults say dating is harder today for most people than compared to 10 years ago. While a third says it's about the same, 19% says it's easier. I don't know. Women are much more likely than men to say dating has gotten harder. Always harder for us than it is for men.
Agreed.
Anybody says. And only 9% of Black women say dating has gotten easier in the last decade. It's not easier. I think it's easier for men and not easier for us. But I don't know. What do you ladies think?
I think the pandemic made it harder. I know it's saying prior to, but I think when the pandemic hit, we couldn't do anything. Like, how can you really go on a date unless you're going to have the date via Zoom or Teams? Like, how can you go on a date or get to really, I guess you can get to know somebody through a phone conversation, but that personal interaction, that one-on-one interaction. So I could see, it being harder to date during the pandemic.
In all actuality, guys, reality, when you hit a certain age point, you get set in your ways and it becomes harder to say to engage yourself to date someone new. A lot of times people stick with what they know, or when you get set in your ways, you've been on your own for so long, you have about zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance. Nonsense. Absolutely.
Yeah, realistically,
Yeah.
you don't settle. You know, you don't want someone that's on the come up. You want someone that's there. So I think that could be a huge factor as well.
Yeah, I mean, we want them there already. You know, I don't want to have to be the one that's doing everything, that has the experience, I guess, in the relationship. Can you figure it out? I think we as women, especially strong black women, we plan everything. We lead everything. I don't
Agreed.
want to lead in the relationship.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I don't either.
Where is that guy that can say, I got this?
Yeah.
And I think that it's different for different age ranges. So, like, if you talk to a 20-year-old, they're going to say, yes, it's okay if he has ducks, but they're not all in a row, because we can put the ducks in a row together. That's different from when you are maybe your late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Like, it's a whole different ball game. Like, we need to have ducks over here,
I
ducks
totally
over here,
agree.
and then we're multiplying ducks together. Like, everybody needs to have ducks in a row.
Agree. At that age, them ducks should be in a row, straight. They can turn sideways. They can do whatever needs to be done at that age.
Mhm.
Totally agree.
Agreed.
Agrees too. Ladies in the chat are saying it's definitely harder to date. I'm seeing some single ladies in the chat saying it's harder to date now than before.
And
So,
then-
I mean, it looks like we agree.
Yeah.
And then think about it, you know, with social media, it's kind of a pretend world. It's that phrase, you could be who you want to be. And so what the image that someone portrays to you online could be quite different when you meet them in person.
And I think
Then you running. So
The catfish, right?
That catfish, I was gonna say that catfish
Yeah.
is that true. Yeah,
but
that's
I have a
real.
male friend that's saying that, you know, we take pictures at good angles. So, you know, and he's not really into real fluffy, should I say it nicely, women. And so, but you know, you take that picture and then when you meet them and you see them in person, you like, oh man, she is nothing.
and who is that?
Hold on.
Not who I saw in
Classic
the picture.
catfish.
You
When
know,
I was on the scene.
you know, I get it. You know, some people really, I know friends who have been online dating and they met their husbands online dating. It's not really my preference, but I mean, it's working for some people.
I
So
would love to know those stats during the pandemic of those individuals getting on online dating. I wondered if they
it's
saw.
gotta be sky high.
I was reading some stats and it said, but it was on people who were already dating online. So it was like 20% found that they used the social media sites and used online dating platforms more during the pandemic. So I thought it was interesting that number was only 20% that was
Yeah.
using it more.
I am too.
When there's nothing else to do, like what were you supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of relationships were built during the pandemic and not even, you know, physical or sexual relationships. I mean, I think friendships were rekindled or sustained and that type of thing, because if not, people would have been crazy.
Correct.
They had to grab a hold to something. I know we had, you know, girlfriend nights once a week that we could just get together that way. And that saved so many people that they were able to get together in that aspect.
Yeah.
Especially, we were not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We were sheltering in place.
And I think that's really what tonight is about not just like when we talk about love, thinking about intimacy, but thinking about self-love, thinking about how that interacts with our friendships, with our relationships, just in general with people who we meet, and then organizations that we're in, and just this interplay of love and the theme of love and how it makes you treat yourself, how it makes you treat your neighbor, your sister, your brother, all those things. And so as we move and celebrate Black History Month, we also want to take some time to celebrate Black love in our own community, the Will County Black Diamond community. What we've done this season, Lady Beverly actually coordinated a beautiful series of insightful marriage tip posts on our social media pages of our ladies and lords. So those are married couples. We call our ladies, and then their husbands are called lords. And it's called Black Love Is. So right now, check out our Black Diamonds who have jumped the broom.
I never knew such a day could be inside of one. I never knew what my life was for, but now that you're here, I know for sure. Babe.
I never knew till I looked in your eyes.
No, babe.
I wasn't complete till the day you walked into my life. And I never knew that my heart could feel so precious and pure. One love so real.
Just see you every morning.
Every morning, baby.
I just feel your heart beating beside me every night. Just feel this way together till the end of all time.
Can I just spend my life with you?
Now, baby, the days and the weeks and the years will roll by, but nothing will change the love inside of you and I.
And baby, I'll never find any words that could explain just how much my heart, my life, my soul you've changed. When no one else understands, can we tell God and the whole world I know you're my man. You're my man. How much I love you.
One touch of my hand,
Oh, baby.
and I just spend my life with you. No touch has ever felt so wonderful.
And no deeper love I've never known. I swear this love is true.
Now and forever to you,
Only for you.
to you.
Feel your heart beating next to me every day, every night. Feel this way together till the end of all time. Can I just spend my life with you?
Was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We just love Black love. And so we hope you enjoyed that little snippet of Black love is. So in our next segment tonight, we are so excited to welcome our very own Lady Patrice and Lord Thomas Henderson to the Diamond View to talk about their new book, Love Touchdown, a Marriage Playbook. So we have a copy of the book here. We all have a copy of the book. We want to welcome you, Lady Patrice and Lord Thomas, to our show tonight.
Hello.
Hello
Thank you for
there.
inviting us.
You are so very welcome. When we saw that this book was coming out, we were like, oh, this is perfect for the show. So, and it also goes in turn with the fact that Lady Patrice is our literacy committee chair. So, yes. Thomas and Patrice will celebrate 44 years of marriage this March. They are charter members of Salem Baptist Church of Chicago, and they're responsible for forming the married couples ministry there. They currently serve as ministry directors for the ministry, and the ministry team consists of over 50 couples who serve a base of 2,500 married couples. They also teach Sunday school for married couples. They've hosted numerous retreats. Both of them are certified trainers for Prepare and Enrich, a marriage assessment tool. Thomas enjoys his executive professional career with State Farm Insurance Companies, and they both are active on various local, national, community, and civic boards, as well as social organizations, and love to travel. So, They have 3 children, 6 grandchildren, love to travel around the world and minister and host events for married couples. And they have recently published this book, Love Touchdown, a Marriage Playbook. Welcome to our show, resident experts.
I'm not sure if there is such a thing as an expert. So that means you got it completely right.
If you've been doing it for 44 years and you are still smiling, you're an expert to me. We're going to talk about the levels of it later. Reverend Rochelle's going to come on and talk about the levels of it later, but you're an expert to me. So we all have a copy of the book. I just want to start, and then I'm going to let the married ladies dive in, because I've heard that this book came about because of a sexy dress in a football game. So tell me more about that.
Well, that's true. We had just become empty nesters. Had been a while, and so there was no excuse for not to spend some time together. So he's watching a football game. I came downstairs in the nice little sexy dress and some stilettos, and he was watching the game, and he looked at me, and he looked me up and down a couple of times, and he smiled. He said, okay, and kind of patted to the couch, like sitting right here. And so I sat down for a while. He says, oh, only a couple of minutes. Well, you do know in football, a couple of minutes is multiplied times 5, right? Which turned to like 20 minutes. Well, I didn't want to get angry, so I finally just got up and went upstairs and put on something more comfortable for myself, of course. And then I realized, what was it about this American sport, football, that would have a husband look at his wife, seeing her very sexy, and say, okay, but hold on, wait a minute. And what was it about football that a man would, women say, well, he didn't communicate well, and he didn't tell me a lot of things. But in football, they can name the stats and the scores and what happened in the last game. And so why is he now communicating so much? And what was it about football that men really respected the guidelines on the rules that was established by football? Because if I said the Bible said that, no, that's not what it means. But if the rep said it, they'd say, oh yeah, that's okay. I may disagree, but I agree to disagree, and let's go on with the game. And so I wanted to learn all of these things so I could find out what had my husband's attention, and for other ladies too. But I tell you, I learned some things in those stilettos and about the football, and now I make many love touchdowns. And so I want to share with the world how to do that. I learned from football how to look at some relationship strategies, and I applied it to my own relationship.
Excellent. And so I know that the ladies have some questions for you, and we are going to talk about those football strategies because they are all in the book. And so we appreciate you sharing those with us.
So Lady Patrice and Lord Thomas, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I too have the book, and I want to make sure everybody can see it. There is a section in the book that it's the second quarter, I believe, called The Honeymoon is Over. So I've been married for 25 years, and it's funny, he and I had a discussion about that, and he says the honeymoon was never over for him. I agree. I still do get butterflies. I still get, excited when I see him and when we talk and all of that. But there are times when during all those years, you have those ups and downs, the kids, whatever issues they may have, or whatever financial issues they may, all these different things, careers come into play. So my question to you is, what advice would you give to a newly married couple to prepare for the honeymoon being over, or how to get through and navigate through the honeymoon being over?
I think the way that you explained it, that you and your husband, after being married for so many years, are still in that honeymoon. And let me just applaud you both on that. But I think that as you just got through saying, and so we're not trying to be pessimistic. We're trying to be realistic in terms of what happens in relationships, because that when you're dating and when you're about to get married, especially in that engagement period, you are excited about each other. You're completing each other's sentences rather than cutting each other off. You want to make sure that you go to her favorite restaurant. You want to go to his football game. You want to meet all his friends. But then sometimes it's kind of like when that switch turns on about getting back to reality, that after you jump that broom, then it's kind of like you want to use that broom to beat each other. No, I'm just joking. But the aspect of it is that when we're saying the honeymoon is over, it just means that it's a transition to reality of what you're going to deal with as a couple. So I would never want a couple to never have butterflies once again. But people, and you hear them say the phrase all the time, they say that I love that person, but I'm no longer in love with that person. And sometimes that when they say that statement, they feel as though that the butterflies always have to be there as a part of the relationship. But once you have an argument, then maybe a couple of butterflies flew away. Okay. So what happens then? It doesn't mean that you have to divorce the relationship. It just means that that's a discovery process, that something else is going on, that you all need to know about each other. But the honeymoon should never be over. But just like any moon, a moon wanes, it doesn't always stay a full moon. Sometimes it's a quarter moon, sometimes it's a half moon. So it takes longer time for some people and it takes shorter time for others.
That's great advice. It's funny you made a point about not loving the person anymore. We used to always say when we were younger, this was when we were younger, we would have our little spouts, and it would be like my feelings. I can't turn them on and off like a faucet. Just because we're not agreeing right now doesn't mean that I don't love you anymore. It's just that
right.
we're not agreeing at this moment. So I think that's great advice, and I think this book is very good. It outlines actual plays, which I love a lot. It gives you things to do. So I can't wait to get my copy signed by you all. Thank you so much for this awesome book.
Awesome. I sat in bed the other night. Here's my copy. I have my copy. Excited about it with my Post-its in there because there was some list of some things I had to reread. And I was like, okay. And I also read in the book that you guys talked about the honeymoon phase differs at different times for different couples. It's not necessarily the first 2 years, the first 3 years. It differs per couple. But one of the parts in the book that I was really intrigued about is when you talked about picking a coach and having to have a coach in your relationship, someone that can guide you, someone that would be truthful, someone that would be transparent. But what advice would you give someone in the marriage on how to pick that coach? What if they don't agree? What if he want his mama and she want a pastor? How would you advise them to come to terms with that?
I think that's an excellent question. And I know that this book is designed for people who are not married yet, for people who are considering marriage, as well as those that are married already. And you're absolutely right that, sometimes you're going to try to have a coach, and my coach may fit my personality and your coach may fit your personality, but the coaches themselves should have the same end goal. And the end goal should be that, what am I giving in terms of advice and information to you that's going to point you back to your spouse? And if you have a coach that's not pointing you back to each other, then it's time to fire that coach, just like we just got through doing with Nagy. Okay, he's no longer with the Bears. Okay, we said, okay, you've had some good seasons, but you played your season out now. So it's time for a new one. So I think that sometimes, as you said, it could be the pastor, it could be a very good friend, and it should be somebody just like a successful coach. A successful coach generally has a track record of successes with other teams. They had some wins. But if you're always picking a losing coach, then it means the fact that your strategy for picking coaches is not good. But yes, we believe that everybody, even in the infancy of your relationship and even into the maturity of your relationship, everybody still needs to have a coach.
And I think a lot of couples who are out there who are dating, if you're dating a guy or you're dating a girl and you say, let's get some premarital counsel from someone, and they say no, I would tell you to run. Because there'll be a time in your marriage when you need to hear from somebody. And if they don't want to hear from somebody before you get married, they definitely don't want to hear from somebody when you get married. One thing about football, there are many coaches. They got a defensive coach and they got the other coach. So they've got people always coaching them to help them move that ball forward so they can win the game. And you need those people in your life to help you do that. I have a prayer partner. And so when I have problems in my marriage, we just may pray about it. I may not give her the details. So she's my prayer coach, and I may have another counselor who's a counselor coach. And so we need people to help coach us because we would have been married
4 years.
I'm lost with the dates. and even sometimes, though, you know, Marie and Marisa on here, they've been a blessing to us as we've been a blessing to them. So your coaches can be many people in your life that move you, one to your spouse and move you to God.
Thank you. Excellent advice. I would advise everyone to get their copy of their book. They have an awesome quiz in the back, and I took the quiz. And my husband and I have been married. It'll be 17 years in June. And we're in a good place. But as all good things, you can have some work to do so we can get to 44 years. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Good advice.
Thank you.
Thank you. We look to have a book signing real soon so we can get your book signed.
Yes, I'm waiting for that.
Definitely keep us posted on that. One thing that I love about this book is you actually give tips and tools. So in here, there's coaching strategy. There's the Love Touchdown playlist. There's the 2-minute wrap up. One of the things you all talk about is how to fight fair. And on one of the love playlists, it said, sleep in the nude when you're angry. Now, how does that help us?
Well, we talked about this Sunday, and I always tell my husband he doesn't fight fair because he fights to win. And so I want him to explain, how do we fight fair, dear? See, we're still learning and teaching at the same time.
Well, I think that she was more interested in the nude part. Okay, so I think that's the part that
fighting fair. How to fight fair. That's my tab in the book.
Well, okay, then I'm gonna say always fight with your clothes off. Okay, you know, ladies, you can always disarm a man with your clothes off. Okay, I don't care what he's mad about. He's gonna change his attitude, you know, really, really quickly. Okay, so just strip it off, and I can tell you that's gonna take care of half of the energy of that. That's right. Keep writing it down. That's right. Write that note down.
And you've never, as he said, you've never seen the police go to a house where the two people have been naked because of a domestic situation. So we know if you fight naked, the fight won't be too long.
But I think that you Lady Moretta, you did say something very important about fair fighting. And we actually just taught this because we're teaching our book every Sunday to a Zoom class of almost over 150 people. And so one of the things that we talked about, almost just like in the sport of boxing, all sports have some type of rules. And so whenever you have rules, you know what the parameters are. And sometimes that couples don't talk about what the rules and the expectations are of their relationship. We've got the Bible. The Bible is one of the clearest rules in terms of what we should be doing as it relates to fighting fair. 1 Corinthians 13 is truly a true testament about what love is and what love is not, what it doesn't look like. So when you're talking about fair, well, you know what? I still disagree with her to this day. That the fact that I don't believe in that, I don't think that I'm not a fair fighter. Okay. Now I'm a person, I'm gonna talk you down. Okay. Because the fact that I can use my words very intellectually, and I tell all the time, why am I gonna argue about something if I'm already right?
He always hires his inner lawyer.
Absolutely. But you know what? If you don't have an inner lawyer, he needs to win the case. Okay. You know, why you gonna hire a lawyer that you know that you're getting ready to go to jail in the first place? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
The same thing. I use my inner and outer lawyer. And
there
people
you
are
go.
like,
And
we're using big words now. Is that what we're doing?
Right now, she knows that she got to win that case. That's right. So when you're talking about fair fighting, it just means what are the rules that we need to establish so things don't get escalated, and how do we stay on point for that issue and that issue alone? Because most couples don't fight fair, especially when they're pulling stuff from the past that have nothing to do with the current situation.
That is good advice. We are going to bring you back for our Q&A segment towards the end of the show. So we thank you for your expertise, for your wisdom, for your guidance and tips on how to have a love touchdown with this marriage playbook. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love Touchdown, a marriage playbook.
Our memories on my screen, two lovers in this mystic dream. Baby, come back to me, come back to me. Too much time on my phone.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are so excited to welcome back Reverend Maurice and Mrs. Rochelle. Reverend Maurice, we're welcoming you back. Mrs. Rochelle, this is your first time. We're going to be informal tonight, so we're going to go with Maurice and Rochelle, okay? We're going to talk about all things love. So self-love, love languages, marriage, intimacy. As we dive in tonight, we want you to give it to us like the real, like we had before. So we are just looking to really build off of that and go for it. Maurice and Marie have been married for 40 years. They taught a married couples Sunday school over 20 years at Salem Baptist Church of Chicago. They were also directors of the marriage couples ministry after serving for many years in that ministry. They counsel married couples, facilitate married couples events throughout the state and other parts of the nation, and they are parents of 3 daughters and have 4 grandchildren. So welcome to the show.
Hi, how you doing?
Thank you. Great to be
Thank
here.
you. Praise the Lord.
Glad to see you. Maurice, again, you gave us, it was awesome working with you last year this time. And Marie, we're so glad to have you, to find out if you're the yang to his yin. And so tonight, let's just recap about what happened last time you were on this show. You gave us some great nuggets that we're still talking about a year later. You talked about the levels of love. Let's just go ahead and start right there. You even gave us a new part prior to the show. You added a different spin on it. So why don't you share with our audience what are the levels of love?
So I talked about the different years you were married, and I put them into like a educational sense. So if you're dating and then up to the fiance, the ring on the finger, you're in the incubator. You're not even born yet. You haven't even started yet. So you are in the process of being knitted. Your marriage is being knitted in the womb. That's what God is doing right now. But once you say, I do, it's the birth of the marriage. Once you say, I do, he says, now you may kiss the bride. Bam. Your marriage, you born right there. Your marriage has been birthed right then and there. And then you in your first year of marriage. So your first year of marriage, your 1, 2, 3, up to 5 years. So by the time you get to your 5th year of marriage, you just in kindergarten. You just learn your ABCs, your 1, 2, 3s of your marriage. You're not even sure. You barely walking at 2 years of your marriage. And that's why at 2 years, it's like the terrible 2. So you arguing, going back and forth, talking about this mine, this mine. Like 2-year-olds, they want to hold on to their stuff and say, this is mine. That's 2 years of marriage. And so not until you get to 5 years where you in kindergarten, and you start learning your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s of marriage. And so then let's move ahead and go forward to about when you 13 years in marriage. 13 and 14 is when you graduate from 8th grade. So you come out of elementary school in your marriage. You had a little geometry, a little algebra, a little history about your marriage. You barely speaking proper English in your marriage, so your communication is kind of jacked up still at the 13 years of marriage. But then let's move forward to like 18 years of marriage. Now you coming out of your high school years of marriage. You had your chemistry, you had your biology, you understanding one another's differences and the changing in your life and all that other stuff that goes on in high school. You understanding your angles and your theorems and all that about your marriage. And then let's jump to 22 and 21. You coming out of college. You done had all your lectures. Y'all done lecture the whole lot. And when you lecture, you got to have the lab. So once you lecture, you go to the lab. Lecture, lab. Lecture, lab. And then you get your bachelor's degree in marriage. You finally getting to graduate on your bachelor's degree. And then from 26 to 27 years of marriage, now you're working on your master's. Now you're working on your marriage. You got to write thesis about your marriage. You got to write thesis about your marriage. Why did I choose even to marry this person. So you're writing your thesis. So then after you get your master's degree and you go to your 30 years of marriage, now you're a doctor. You got your doctorate degree. Now you understand what's going on. You ain't going nowhere now because you professor level right now because you got your doctorate degree and education goes on. So like us, we got 40 years of marriage. We're Professor Maurice and Marie Rochelle. We teach.
All right now.
We do it all, and we continue to pour into everybody. So you're looking at the professor right now.
All
and
right.
the professor right there. You got two professors right here. And so we teach marriage. We know about marriage. We go through the ins and outs. And so just to recap, if you got 2 years of marriage in there, you're going to fight because it's mine. If before that, you still dating and no ring on the finger, you're in the incubator. You're being knitted. You're being knitted until you say I do. And then 8th grade, you got your algebra. And then high school, you get your geometry. Then you get your bachelor's degree. Then you get your master's degree. Then you get your doctorate. And now you're a professor.
Well, let me back you up. I think you just crushed a lot of people with saying that you're in an incubator. So they haven't even got started yet. Come on, somebody.
Right.
So let me take you on back. How do we even get there? You done gave us a whole timeline of life. And Lord forbid, we seem like we haven't even got our foot in the door yet. No. So tell us, how do we get there? We want to start. Let's talk about us as individuals. Let's talk about self-love. What can you and Marie tell us about how important self-love is in an intricate part of relationships to prepare for marriage?
So self-love, I wrote some notes down, and you have to be, first of all, you're queens and kings, right? You're queens and kings always. You have to look at yourself as royalty. And so one thing about kings and one thing about queens is they're confident in themselves. They're very confident. They know who they are. They are not letting anybody shake anything out. And that's self-love right there. When you know who you are and know the confidence in who you are, that's self-love. And being confident in that through Jesus Christ. Then you really, because the Bible says God is love. So you got to have God to have love because he is love. And so that's your confidence in that. And so regardless of what you say, be confident in the thing that God made you out of love. And because God made you out of love, you have love in you. And so because you have love in you, you can love yourself, and that's self-love. There's a part in it, there's a scripture. There are 7 loves in the Bible, and they all get these Greek names like agape, eros, phileo. But there's a word called philatio, which is self-love. And you find that when you read the book of Daniel. Now, Daniel in the first chapter, when they got captured and sent away, the Hebrews, and the king tried to feed them this food, Daniel so loved himself and had self-love and self-confidence, he did not want to defile himself. So he did not want to eat with the king. And he made a deal and said, let me fast and eat what I usually eat because this is what kept me. This is my self-love. This is my confidence in me. And they let him do that. And they found out he was more healthier than those who ate the king. So understand that you have a love in you that God gave you. And that's your self-love. You don't need anybody else to love you because you are already deep into that. And so be confident in that self-love. And that's what's required in the beginning, in the incubator stage. Love yourself before you start loving anybody else. Love yourself, because when you're full of love, you're able to give love out to others.
And Marie, did you have, I mean, he's gave us a lot. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, certainly. I think it is very important that you learn how to love yourself, because you cannot give out of an empty well. You cannot say that I'll be able to love you as Christ loves the church if you don't have love or strength or energy in you at all. The Bible tells us to there's a portion where it says love your neighbor as yourself. And some of us skip over it saying that we should just love our neighbor, but God is saying, no, I need for you to be able to love yourself. Love that I have. Remember that I've made you fearfully and wonderfully made. You are not to walk around as if you are unworthy of anything. I've made you, I've fulfilled you, I've given you me. I live inside of you. And so make sure that you can love yourself so that you can pour into a family, can pour into a relationship, pour into a child. You cannot give what you do not have. You just cannot. And so it's important that we start to love ourselves. And that is not taboo. And that is not against God. It is only against God when you are just self-centered or selfish with your love. If it's all about you, then that's when it becomes a problem. But you have to be able to love yourself, to pour out and to give out just as Christ did.
I like that. I like that. Let's talk a little bit about, a lot of us, I know I do, live my life by the love languages. And I just think I already know what my love language is. Everybody that knows me probably knows what my love language is. But we look at that and we talk about how do love languages affect our relationships. I take this in organizations that I lead. I take this with my friend groups. And I do the assessment with a lot of my friends, people that I'm dating, my officers who are on my exec boards. I find out what their actual love languages are. Mine is acts of service. I already know that, but how do you think love languages affect our relationships?
So when you find out what the love language, first of all, find out what your love language is, and then share that with the other persons, because some people might not understand what your love language is, and they trying to fill you out. But if you tell them, then they know where to target at and what to do. And then the other thing is, when you have a certain love language, certain people operate in that same love language to other people, but that may not be their love language. So Karen, yours is the acts of service. So you're going to probably do acts of service for somebody else because that's your love language, but that may not be their love language.
Absolutely.
Their love language
That's so important.
It is.
Yeah.
And so I find that out, right? For me, I make sure I find that out because I know what mine is, but absolutely, it may not be the other person's. They may like gifts.
Right.
A gift is nice. And of course I like a gift, but really, if you help me do something, that means so much more to me than that physical gift that you can give me.
Yes.
And I think that's something that you can apply to like any relationship, your friendships, your coworkers. If you're a manager, you need to learn your reportees' love languages. Like for me, my boss used to keep white chocolate Kit Kats in her drawer just for me because she knew if I was having a bad day, I would get one. To me, that says that you appreciate me as an individual and you're willing to go that extra mile. Now that's something simple, but I mean, in terms of relationship, I can't think about what my love language is because I need to be tending to that other person's love language and communicating in that way in order to make it work.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So me and Marie's love language, mine is words of affirmation, and hers is acts of service, which is perfect. My words of affirmation came to me because I was in the military, so you get affirmation all the time. So I'll be in loved all the time. And so with her acts of service, watch this. I can go wash the car, fill up the gas in her car, make sure it's clean. I can take out the garbage. I can mow the lawn. I can make everything. I can fold the clothes. I can wash the clothes. Those are her. That will excite her all over the place. Now watch this. When I excite her all over the place, guess what she says? Hey, you my Superman. What's that? Words of affirmation. So guess what I do? I go find something else to do. And you know what she says? There you go, Superman. And then I go find something else. And then I go. And so we go back and forth trying to plead. We wear each other out with our love languages until we just fall out because we just love on each other just like that. 1 minute I'm Superman, the next minute I'm doing something, then I'm Superman again. And so that's how it's supposed to work, just like that.
I have a question. We have a question in the chat. What age should we teach our children how to love, about self-love, to prepare them, for these relationships?
As soon as they understand what love is, you should start. Love is becoming a faraway thing in this world. I think COVID had something to do with it. I think before then, we got so much violence in the world right now. We have people not loving one another, and it's just so soon as you can, as a child. Watch this. Childs understand when they come out of birth canal, and you hold them so close to their heart. They may not understand, but that's a session right there, a connection of love, and you start teaching a newborn right then and there what love is about. And it's in us, it's innate in us because we come from the Creator. And so when you do that, as soon as the baby is able, and you can communicate, even though they can't talk, show them. They're watching and they're learning what love is. So show the kisses, kiss them on the cheek, hold their hands, speak life into them, speak love into them. I love you. And you hear him go, they trying to talk back to you because they know what you're trying to say that's what, as soon as possible, we need to pour love into our young people and youth as soon as possible. So all this hate and violence is going on in this world, they'll understand my parents love me.
Yeah.
Yes, and they showed me what love was doing.
I tell you, on our door, one of our doors, we have our grandchildren's love language. We had our grandchildren take the love language test. And so they see it when they come to our house. It's been up for years now. And they know what it means, and they know how to relate to each other. I have heard them say, "Oh, Aiden, your love language is affirmation," and then do it. So they understand at a young age. And so once you model that and teach that concept to them, they are able to take it into their relationships. But we gotta start young. I agree. That was a great question. You gotta start young, teaching and modeling love for our children.
And I think it's true that, like, when you're taught when you're younger about, well, you hear so often, what happens in a child's life molds them who they're going to be as an adult. So a lot of the issues people have as an adult, whether it be trying to have relationships or anything, stem from what they've seen growing up. So it is key what, Bible even tells us, train up a child, and it's true. You have to get that, show them that from day one. I know one of the ladies who were watching said that she started, showing her child love from the time of birth, like you said. And I think it's very beneficial because it determines kind of the pathway you kind of go down, from youth to adulthood.
Yes, ma'am.
And we have a lot of educators in our chapter. And I think one thing that I've noticed throughout the pandemic is that's one thing that they have focused on is continuing to speak life into the kids and to build up the kids, because we don't realize how much they're going through also. And the same things that we're going through and we may or may not know how to process, they really don't know how to process. And so speaking life into the children is so important.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's one thing we're able to do through TTA too.
Yeah, I'm the deputy director at Lincoln's Challenge Program, and we get those traumatic kids who have an opportunity at risk, and so they were sort of flunking out of high school. So we bring them down to our institution for 22 weeks, and one change that we have shown in their lives is that we speak love to them, we speak life to them. They might not have never heard a positive thing in their life, but when they come down to Lincoln's Challenge Program, we say, we value you. You are a person of value. You are going to be successful. I don't care what the world says. You have a person, a purpose. You have a plan, and you are a piece of a gigantic puzzle. So without you, we can't be complete as a world. So make sure you go out and be successful and be the best you can be. I don't want you to be nobody else, but I want you to be the best you. And when you pour into those youth like that, they respond and go do what they got to do.
And I think in the chat, there's people just saying how different ways that they show their children love. Someone said that their parents are the reason that they are able to project love to other people and the love that they showed them. So it's definitely, in terms of words of affirmation, even if it's not your primary love language, it is something that we should be incorporating into all levels. So that parent-child relationship, that intimate relationship, your friendships, if you're a teacher and a student, you can affirm someone, without even knowing them.
Yeah.
Just
And
pick that one thing about them that shines to you, and you can affirm them in that way. It doesn't take a lot.
it doesn't take a lot. And even like physical touch, some people have rough days, and one hug
Mhm.
can change a person's whole personality. And so we see the love languages operate, and that's why we have to continue to use them, and then find out what yours is and what the other people's are, and then make sure we coordinate that thing, and then work together in that love language.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do at this time is bring back Thomas and Patrice Henderson and our lovely hosts. And I know that we have some questions from the chat. We've got a couple of questions for everyone here. So we're all going to just have a big group chat. Welcome back, everybody. The first question that we have is for Thomas, actually. Can you tell us about intimacy and what that means?
Okay. Maurice and Marie have been a part of our lives for the last almost 30-something years, and they know that we probably don't say that there's anything that's original. So we've taken this from other people, but I think that this is something that when you understand the word intimacy, I heard this long time ago that someone said that if you take that word and you slow it down and you say, into me see, what that means is the fact that intimacy is sometimes mistaken about sexual connotation. But if you see inside of me, if you value who I am and what I am, then that creates a very intimate, sacred space that I'm reaching, that you're reaching inside of me. And then what it allows me to do is kind of like as Maurice and Marie were saying, it allows me, because if you know that that I like you to sweep the floor, and if that just turns me on, then you know what? Maurice can start sweeping the floor, and Marie is just taking off all her clothes because he just reached her point of intimacy, because he knows what's important to her. So that's why that when we're talking about intimacy, that when you look into me and see, then that means the fact that you're valuing who I am, and then I want you to explore the rest of who I am, even if that means in a sexual connotation.
I think you need to break that down one more time. That into me see. I think you need to say that again, Lord Thomas.
Into me see.
Everybody all together.
Look.
Me
See. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a great way of looking at it.
It really is.
Great way.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions for our guests, please drop them in the comments on YouTube. We know that we're having some technical difficulties on Facebook, but if you're on YouTube, please drop those questions in the comments. So in terms of friendships, how do you cultivate meaningful friendships through whether it be intimacy, love languages? What have you found to be successful in doing that?
Who's that for? Any one of us?
Anyone who'd like to answer?
I think that you have to be open to friends. I think that sometimes God brings people into your life for different seasons. And so I've been open to having many different kinds of friends. I don't have just one kind of friend. And the Bible says if you want to have friends, you got to prove yourself to be friendly. And so, how can we help people? People are there to help us. And so I think not being just stuck on my friend has to have this. I think that having friends that broaden who you are, have friends that challenge you, have friends that support you. And so I just think we ought to open up ourselves to having more friends. COVID has made us kind of come in a box. And I'm hoping as we come out, we'll come out and we'll develop more friendships, because I think we've lost that connection with people during the season. And now we need to make new connections and reconnect with other people that we've had contact with before.
Awesome. I just want to thank you guys for being on. I mean, the knowledge that you have given so many of our viewers and ourselves, I really appreciate it. Black love is still important.
It
Black
is.
love is the young people need to see black love, and I really thank you guys for doing the what you are doing and continuing to spread it and touch people's lives. I thank you.
And I don't think we don't see this enough, even with the ladies, in our chapter and looking at you guys, it's prime example. You have all age ranges. I mean, in our chapter alone, we got hundreds of years worth of marriage. And our communities need to know, like Lady Beverly said, that Black love still exists. Our family is still a sound family, even though society tries to say it is not. So we thank couples like you all for just sharing these nuggets with us to give others hope, or those of us who may be a little bit more seasoned past the idle marriage age, that it's still possible to be loved, to get into a loving relationship.
Well, let me say too, I'm just going to jump in really, really quick. Maurice and Marie have cheated you today, because they have not been themselves in terms of this entire presentation. These two people are dynamic individuals who kind of like just gave you this much of who they really, really are. They are a wealth of knowledge, and we're so blessed that we've had a friendship for a very long time. So when you talk about friendship, that's what we're talking about.
That's true.
This has been netted out of love. It's been out of respect. It's been out of tears. It's been out of fears. It's been out of all of that. And I think that that's what true friendship is about. It's about making sure that even if it's with your spouse, that friendship is based upon so many ebbs and flows that happens with any kind of a friendship.
And you did know, we have been friends for years.
We can tell that years. So we can definitely tell that.
Yes, we definitely can. And I just want to say really, really quick, I'm very grateful for couples like you all. I am the product of a divorced family, single parent. So I didn't see that, that marriage, that longevity until I met my husband's family. His parents were married over 50 years. So I cling too. Like, I get drawn to couples that have been together like you all, and I listen, because that's how you learn. I listen to this because I'm like, okay, I've been doing this 25 years. I want to do it for 25 more years. If I can get to that 75-year mark, that'll be even better. So I do appreciate everything that you all have said tonight, all the advice, all the nuggets, the book, everything. Because I'm always looking for new ways or something different to do to keep my marriage exciting and engaged. So thank you so very much.
I'm going to tell you this. Y'all said something at the beginning. And I'm going to tell y'all this. Anytime we get to argue, Marie just got to take her clothes off. And she's going to have all my money. We ain't arguing no more. She can have the car, the house, everything. I'm going to shut my mouth and I'm going to be like, yes, dear, yes, dear, yes, dear. That was one of the best advice in the world. That being naked and arguing, you can't argue when you're naked.
You taking us back to that Genesis moment.
Yes. The Genesis moment.
Naked in a garden.
Adam and Eve messed this thing up. They messed it. Adam and Eve messed this thing up. This world would be so much better if we just obey God so we can walk around naked and just be happy. That's what we're talking about right now. That's what, when I get to heaven, Adam and Eve going to have a talking to. Right?
See, this is what I'm talking about right here.
Right now. Y'all messed this thing up.
Now, Thomas, we get a little bit of the real Reese right here. That's the real Reese coming out. And so, and I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. Both of these couples I love dearly. The advice that I've been given has been amazing. It has challenged me. It has allowed me to grow. It has allowed me to rethink things. And I don't even know if Marie even remembers this one time that she told me that I was trying to quit ministry at the church. And she asked me, did I pray about it? I'm like, girl, no. I ain't praying about that, but I mean, it's just for somebody to even tell you that. She's like, well, you can't quit. I was like, I'm ready to walk away and be done with this. So, I mean, that's a friend. That's a friend as well, to just tell you, the right things. And needless to say, I didn't quit. I'm still around. But I mean, it was just one of those things that you have to have that person that is going to challenge you. And sometimes it's not the things that you want to hear. And I think so many times people don't. That's a true friend for me. You have to keep it 100 with me, and if not, that it just doesn't work for me. I don't need the person to be, oh, sweetie, it's gonna be all right. No, come tell me what it is that I need to hear. Whether it's a friendship, a relationship. And I think so often we get away from that and we want people to sugarcoat things for us. And I just think the root of it all, and to have people like Thomas and Patrice and Marie and Maurice to really sow into us is such a blessing. And we are really thankful that you guys joined us tonight. We know we have many more times to come with you guys, many more things to that you can teach us in many aspects of our lives. So thank you so much.
Oh, praise God. Praise God. And to those young ladies out there that you think you seasoned in age and you're never going to get married, understand this. You still got an incubator position. Your birth, when you say I do, your marriage is being born. And it's not about your age. It's about where you at right then at that time when you looking in your husband's and your wife's eyes to say, I got a birth and I got a marriage starting today, and I'll be one next year on my first anniversary.
Well, I will receive that incubator period. I am blessed, though. No, seriously, I'm blessed. Most of my friends are married, and I love to see them being in love with their spouses. So I have not given up hope. God is a faithful God. Yeah. And I look at, these ladies, a lot of these ladies, we're friends both with the wives as the husband and wives and their comedy, but I love how they love on each other. So that is the hope that I have. So I received that incubator period.
Yes, ma'am. And Sarah and Abraham didn't have a baby till one was 190, so you still can have kids.
No, I don't need a Sarah experience.
That's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show.
Yes.
The Sarah experience.
Oh, you done messed up already.
No. I'm gonna get that on somebody. That's
like the Sarah experience. On that note, we are going to say thank you. Tonight's conversation has been certainly enlightening, and we love having you all on the show. We've loved this time together and having so many years of marriage wisdom with us to pour into us and to pour into our audience. I want to say thank you to the Status of Women Thrust. Thank you to Lady Stacy and Lady Linda for our research tonight. Working backstage on the controls, we have Lady Deanna Tate, Lady Tashar Brock, and myself. And in the chat, we have Lady Maria. And to all of our Will County Black Diamond members that are in the chat, thank you so much. I'd also like to thank my brother, Joseph Smith II of Graymore Photography, for our audio visuals. Maurice and Marie, do you have any parting words for us tonight?
Go ahead, boo. I say no.
I think if I were to leave anything, especially for those who are married, I think it is so important that you really learn what it means to be a wife, that you study what it means to be a wife, and not to look at another playbook, somebody else's playbook, but to be intentional on what God has for you. I've learned over the years to mature. I'm not perfect, but I have matured, and I am maturing into what God is making me into and calling me to be as a wife and a woman. I do desire to be the best wife that I can be for him, but I know I can only do that when I love myself and give myself to God first. And so I am not easily swayed by my emotions anymore. When I was a young woman and a young wife, I know what it means to respect my husband. I know what it means to support my husband. And I know what it means to bridle my tongue and not be a foolish woman. And so if I could give any advice, that would be what I just said before. It's just to know what God has called you to be. And if you're not ready, to love you're not ready to support your family, if you're not ready to bridle your tongue and not act like a silly little girl, then don't get married. Don't go into something. That's for the singles. Don't go into something and you're not ready yet. Stay in the incubator. There's nothing wrong with the incubator. The incubator is important because it's making you and it's preparing you and it's saying, don't come out until you're done, until you're ready.
That's a preach word.
That's a whole word for the Sarah experience. That's day one, the incubator.
Right. And I think we do. We have some singles on here, some parting words that for the singles that may be on and where they should be at this point or what they should be doing, even single females and males. Any advice that you can give to them?
Well, I think that the important thing, Marie kind of like hit on it already, is the fact that I think that even when you brought out the stats, that a lot of people are postponing marriage these days, but that's because the fact that they have been saddled with the mentality of pride and independence. No one is trying to say that in marriage that you are no longer an independent individual, but if you are not interested in interdependence, then marriage is not for you.
Right.
That if you are satisfied with being who you are, making all your decisions for yourself, not being accountable to anyone else, then marriage is not for you. Paul was single, and he said that the fact that he would better that he would just stay single, so then that way he could do the work of the Lord. So if your mission is to make sure that you're doing something else, and then Marie, I think you said it the best, that if you can't subject yourself, and this is not just for women, this is for men too, because there are some men who are just so prideful because they make 6 figures, 7 figures, and they figure they don't need anybody else. Then you know what? Get you a dog. Right. Get a license to be able to have a dog, because that's the only kind of company that you're going to need to have. But I think that as I heard somebody always say, and it goes back to Shar, I'm going to say this to you. I heard an old lady say one time that every pot has a lid. Okay. So that means that there's somebody out there for you. You just need to find out what pot fits your lid.
All right now. I receive that.
Absolutely. And that is a parting word. So we want to say thank you again to our guests tonight. We have loved having you here, and we welcome you back to the Diamond View anytime. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us tonight on the Diamond View, and we appreciate you for being here. So until next time,
keep shining.
Shining.